Imagine you were deep in the valley of Elah, and a team of archaeologists unearthed something they could hardly believe: a massive skull, its forehead bearing the unmistakable mark of a violent impact. Next to it lay fragments of ancient bronze armor and a spearhead the size of a modern sword. This wasn't just a routine dig. It was the kind of discovery that makes the world hold its breath. For centuries, the story of David and Goliath has captured imaginations. A shepherd boy defeating a towering warrior with nothing but a slingshot and a stone. It's a tale of courage, faith, and triumph over impossible odds. But until now, it was just that, a story. What if this discovery changes everything? What if the skeleton they've uncovered belongs to the legendary Goliath? The excavation began as part of a routine survey of ancient battlefields near the valley of Elah, the site traditionally identified as the location of David's iconic victory. Researchers were hoping to uncover artifacts of daily life from the time of the Philistines. The skull alone measured twice the size of a normal human's, and its jawbone suggested a man capable of crushing bones with a single bite. The femur, when reconstructed, indicated a height of nearly 9 feet, exactly as described in ancient texts. Among the bones were fragments of a massive bronze helmet, pieces of scaled armor, and the remnants of a shield so large it would have been unwieldy for an ordinary soldier. A smooth, round stone was embedded in the skull's frontal bone, its trajectory perfectly matching the biblical account of David's victorious strike. As they pieced together the life of this giant, the archaeologists began to unravel the story of a warrior bred for dominance. Goliath wasn't just tall, he was a symbol of Philistine power, a living weapon of intimidation. Precision crafted his armor using interlocking bronze scales that could deflect the strongest blows of his enemies. His iron spearhead was heavier than the combined weight of most men's weapons. Historical records and new discoveries paint a picture of a society that prized martial strength above all else. Goliath likely grew up in the city of Gath, a Philistine stronghold known for its towering walls and advanced military technology. He would have received relentless training as a child, learning to wield weapons that few others could even lift. Scientists analyzing the bones believe he may have been part of a lineage known as the Anakim, descendants of the Nephilim, beings described in biblical texts as mighty men of old. The Philistines may have seen Goliath not just as a warrior, but as a living testament to their god's favor. One theory suggests that after defeating Goliath, David brought the giant's skull to Jerusalem, eventually burying it at Golgotha, later known as Calvary, the site of Christ's crucifixion. This connection between David's triumph and Jesus' sacrifice has long been a point of theological debate, but the discovery of Goliath's remains gives new weight to the idea. At the heart of the Valley of Elah, two worlds collided. On one side stood Goliath, a man whose physical presence was enough to terrify even the most seasoned warriors. Towering over 9 feet tall, armed with a spear as large as a weaver's rod and covered in gleaming bronze armor, he represented the pinnacle of military might. He was the embodiment of strength, dominance, and fear. His every step echoed across the battlefield, sending chills down the spines of those who dared to look his way. Remember to join our community by subscribing to this channel. On the other side was David, a young shepherd, small and untrained in the ways of war. He carried no armor, wielded no sword, and held no shield. Yet what he lacked in physical power, he made up for with an unshakable faith in something far greater than himself. David was the least likely hero, yet he stood as a symbol of courage and belief against all odds. Goliath wasn't just a man, he was a force. For 40 days, he mocked the Israelite army, challenging them to send out their best warrior for single combat. None dared step forward. Long before any blows exchanged, his towering figure and deep, commanding voice broke their spirits. He was more than a physical presence. He was psychological warfare incarnate. His bronze helmet and armor were masterpieces of Philistine craftsmanship, designed to intimidate and protect. The iron spearhead he carried weighed as much as a modern bowling ball, making it a weapon only someone of his immense strength could wield. His shield-bearer, a smaller man, enhanced his aura of invincibility by carrying a massive protective shield. Goliath was a walking fortress, seemingly untouchable, and his confidence came from knowing that no ordinary soldier could match his strength. He was the ultimate warrior, and his challenge to the Israelites wasn't just a call to battle. It was a demand for humiliation. David, on the other hand, was everything Goliath was not. He was young, inexperienced, and seemingly insignificant. His weapons were laughable compared to Goliath's arsenal. A sling, a handful of smooth stones, and his unwavering belief in God's power. David's courage didn't come from training or physical strength. It came from his faith, a deep conviction that he wasn't fighting alone. He saw Goliath not as an invincible foe, but as a man who had insulted the God of Israel. To David, this battle wasn't about proving his own strength. It was about defending the honor of his people and his faith. When the two met on the battlefield, it was a scene of stark contrast. Goliath mocked David, ridiculing him for coming to fight with nothing but a sling and stones. To Goliath, this was an insult, a waste of his time. But David's reply was simple and profound. His victory would come not from weapons, but from the power of his God. As Goliath advanced, David didn't hesitate. He ran toward the giant, spinning his sling with practiced precision. The stone flew through the air and struck its target perfectly, sinking into Goliath's forehead. In an instant, the giant fell, and with him, the morale of the Philistine army collapsed. The young shepherd had triumphed where seasoned warriors had failed. This wasn't just a physical battle, it was a clash of two worldviews. Goliath represented human pride and reliance on material strength. He stood for the idea that power could conquer all. David, on the other hand, embodied humility and trust in a higher power. His victory was a testament to the belief that faith and courage could overcome even the greatest obstacles. He came from Gath, one of the 5 important cities of the Philistines, a powerful group of people who lived near the southern coast of a region called Canaan. Goliath wasn't just any man. He was a champion of his people, known for his incredible size and strength. But to understand Goliath's story, we must first learn about the Philistines and their way of life. One of the things that made the Philistines so powerful was their knowledge of metallurgy, the skill of working with metals like bronze and iron. They used this knowledge to create strong weapons and armor, giving them an edge in battles. Their swords, shields, and spears were some of the best of their time, and they didn't hesitate to use them against their neighbors, especially the Israelites. The Philistines weren't just warriors, they had a rich and fascinating culture. Their cities were filled with skilled workers, farmers, and merchants who helped their society thrive. They also had impressive architecture like temples dedicated to their gods, and they traded goods with people from all over the ancient world. The Philistines had a unique religion. They worshipped several gods, each with their own role and powers. One of their main gods was Dagon, a deity often associated with grain and agriculture. Temples dedicated to Dagon were central to their religious practices, and people would bring offerings to seek his blessings for a good harvest. Another important god was Baal-zebub, whose name means Lord of the Flies. He was believed to have control over diseases and could either protect people or bring plagues upon them. The Philistines also worshipped other gods like Ashdod, who played key roles in their culture and beliefs. Religious festivals and rituals were a big part of Philistine life. These events included sacrifices, feasts, and ceremonies held in their grand temples. Their faith wasn't just about pleasing the gods. It was deeply connected to their daily lives, influencing their agriculture, wars, and even the way they interacted with other cultures. Among the Philistine cities, Gath stood out as the home of Goliath. Gath was a fortified city, built with high walls and strong defenses to protect its people from invaders. It was also a hub of activity, where warriors trained, artisans created tools and weapons, and merchants traded goods. Goliath, being from Gath, likely grew up in this environment. As a Philistine champion, he represented the strength and pride of his people. His massive size and strength were legendary, and he wore armor made by the finest Philistine craftsmen. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a symbol of the Philistines' power and their ability to dominate their enemies. The Philistines and Israelites clashed frequently, with the Philistines often trying to expand their territory or assert dominance. Their advanced weapons and strong cities made them formidable opponents. The story of David and Goliath is one of the most famous examples of this conflict. In this tale, Goliath challenged the Israelites to a duel, mocking their army and their God. But when David defeated Goliath with nothing but a sling and a stone, it became a powerful symbol of faith triumphing over strength. Are you enjoying the story? Support our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Goliath's weaponry, specifically the iron spearhead he carried, is a lesser-known detail. While the Bible emphasizes its enormous weight, this detail also hints at a significant technological advantage the Philistines possessed. During Goliath's time, iron was a relatively new and highly valuable material in the ancient Near East. The Philistines were among the few groups who mastered ironworking technology, giving them a distinct edge in warfare. This use of iron reflects not just Goliath's personal strength, but also the advanced military capabilities of the Philistines as a whole. It's possible that Goliath's iron spear, with its immense weight and durability, was a symbol of their dominance and innovation. This technological edge likely made the Philistines formidable enemies and added to the legend of Goliath as an almost unbeatable warrior. The Philistines were more than just enemies of Israel. They were a people with a rich culture, advanced technology, and fascinating traditions. Their story gives us a glimpse into the ancient world, showing us how different civilizations lived, worshipped, and fought. And through the story of Goliath, the Philistines remind us of the timeless battle between might and faith, courage and fear, and the enduring human spirit. The Philistines, Goliath's people, were just as mysterious as the man himself. For years, they were known primarily through biblical accounts, which often portrayed them as the enemies of Israel. But modern archaeology has shed new light on their culture and origins. Excavations in cities like Gath, Ashkelon, and Ekron, some of the Philistines' main settlements, have uncovered evidence of a highly developed society. One of the most remarkable discoveries came in 2016 when archaeologists found a Philistine cemetery in Ashkelon. This was the first large-scale burial site associated with the Philistines, and it provided invaluable information about their customs, diet, and physical characteristics. Analysis of the bones revealed that the Philistines were not significantly taller than their neighbors, suggesting that Goliath's height was an exception rather than the norm. Artifacts found in these excavations, such as pottery, jewelry, and weapons, show a blend of cultural influences. The Philistines brought elements of their Aegean heritage to Canaan, but they also adapted to local traditions. Their advanced ironworking skills and unique artistic styles demonstrate that they were not just warriors, but creators and innovators. Theories about Goliath's origins and the Philistines' role in history often blur the lines between myth and reality. One enduring theory is that the Philistines were part of the Sea Peoples, a confederation of maritime raiders who disrupted civilizations around the Mediterranean during the Late Bronze Age. This theory explains their Aegean roots and their sudden appearance in Canaan. Another intriguing aspect is the Calvary theory, which connects Goliath's death to the site of Jesus' crucifixion. According to some interpretations, David may have buried Goliath's skull at Golgotha, meaning the place of the skull. This idea has been for centuries. Scholars have debated this idea, which remains one of the most symbolic links between Goliath's story and Christian theology. Technology have allowed archaeologists to uncover new details about the Philistines and their world. Techniques like DNA analysis have revealed that the Philistines likely migrated from southern Europe, bringing their culture and technologies to Canaan. Radiocarbon dating has helped pinpoint the timeline of their rise and fall, showing that they thrived between the 12th and 7th centuries BCE before being absorbed into other cultures. Researchers found evidence of massive fortifications and advanced urban planning in the ancient city of Gath, the alleged home of Goliath. These findings suggest that Gath was a major power in the region during Goliath's time. A shard of pottery bearing the name Goliath, hinting at the historical basis for the biblical account, was one particularly fascinating discovery. The account of David and Goliath in the Bible transcends its time, resonating with people of all backgrounds and beliefs. At its core, this tale is about overcoming obstacles. Whether it's a literal giant or a figurative one, the story teaches us that size, power, or outward appearance does not determine the outcome. If you are enjoying the story, consider supporting our journey by clicking the Super Thanks button. By contributing, you're helping us continue exploring, researching, and sharing fascinating stories from history and beyond. The Philistines, often remembered as adversaries in the biblical narrative, were a sophisticated and influential people who contributed to the cultural and technological progress of their time. Their cities, craftsmanship, and religious practices reflect a civilization deeply connected to its surroundings, adapting and thriving amid changing tides of history. Understanding their world helps us appreciate how intertwined ancient cultures were, even as they clashed. Goliath's story continues to inspire and challenge us. His name has become a metaphor for overwhelming odds, often evoked in sports, politics, and personal struggles. To face your Goliath is to confront something that seems insurmountable, and to be David is to find strength in unlikely places. The next time you face a challenge that feels too big to overcome, remember David. His victory reminds us that even the smallest stone, if wielded with courage and faith, can topple the mightiest giant. Goliath's story will continue to inspire, intrigue, and teach us for generations to come. And perhaps that is the greatest legacy of all. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.